big sawadika to all of you and a big good Friday morning. I'm Honey Tholapansanarula, very delighted to be here as your moderator and welcoming you to the Brave New World. This is a webinar series for incentive travel, and of course it's brought to you by Site Thailand in association with Tika and supported by TSEB. So I'd like to also warmly welcome our audience, our participants from wherever you may be following us on Zoom webinar or also on Facebook, Site Thailand Facebook fan page. So thank you very much for spending part of your morning right here with us. Today we'll take a look at the unfamiliar future of the incentive travel world following the coronavirus pandemic that has plunged the world into a crisis like no other. And as we are grappling with the situation, industry experts are working together in order to help grasp, to understand, and to define the new norms of the industry post-COVID. And soon enough, we will revive and we will thrive again. For I am very certain that nothing can replace the experience of incentive travel. And now to begin today's webinar series of A Brave New World, I'd like to introduce you to the president of Site Thailand, Kun Max Buntawi Jantassuwan, who will now warmly welcome you to the series today. So Kun Max, take it away.
Okay, good morning everyone. Thank you so much for joining our Site Talk today. It is so great to see so many of you from many countries today. So 6 weeks ago, Site Thailand and our partners Tika and TSEB has done the survey to the industry on what information would be useful in helping them to prepare for the new future of incentive travel. And you have all voted for the top 5 topics, and today is actually one of the topics that you all picked for. I would like to tell you a little bit more about Site. At Site, we are the only global association dedicated to incentives travel and supported by over 3,500 members around the world. We are doing everything we can to support the industry, so we remain connected around the world. There are so many platforms, best practices, and networking opportunities available for our members in order to support them and enhance their business knowledge and relationship. Today, we are very fortunate to have the great lineup of the speaker, whose leadership position and global experience will help us think further about how we can work together to make a positive change. Lastly, I want to thank you TSEB and Tika, our strategic partners, and a special acknowledgement of Unity for Speaker from our community, Site Global Jen, Site China Alicia, and Site India Nitin. Please enjoy the session, and over to you, Kun Hani. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kun Max. Thanks for the introduction. And of course, like Kun Max has mentioned, we have 5 panelists joining us this morning. It's a rare opportunity to have the site leaders together at once on this screen like now. So thanks to COVID for that. So without further ado, I'd like to tell you more about our speakers. Our first speaker needs no introduction. With her experience of some 30 years in the industry, she is a savvy and sought after strategist when it comes to the business events world here in Thailand. Kun Nichapa Yosavi, Senior Vice President, Business of Thailand Convention Exhibition Bureau, TSEB. สวัสดีค่ะ คุณนิชภา
สวัสดีค่ะ Good morning everyone ค่ะ
Our second speaker joins us from Canada today. She's another expert who's been around in the industry for over 3 decades that has helped her become a strong advocate for our customers and also her team. Ms. Jennifer Glynn, President of Site Global. Hello, good Jennifer. Thank you very much for joining us. It's currently 10 p.m. in Canada, right? So thank you very much for joining us. Our third speaker is a familiar face and veteran in the business events industry in Thailand as well. He's a lifetime member of Site and presently the president of Thailand Incentive and Convention Association, Kun Sumet Sutat. สวัสดีค่ะ คุณสุเมธ
สวัสดีครับ
Our next speaker is a well-respected expert with years of experience in incentive travel management and also market development. She joined Site in 2005 and currently is Site International Board of Director of Site China, Ms. Alicia Yao. Good morning, Alicia.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
And last but not least is the Vice President of Site India. He has been instrumental in successfully driving markets through development of distribution networks and is a great partner of Thailand, Site Thailand, also TSEB, Mr. Nitin Sachdeva, joining us from Delhi. Good morning, Nitin.
Namaste and
Sawadee. So let's get into our discussions. Since the stay-at-home orders, people are already assuming that life post-COVID would not be the same, and the future of many businesses have been rewritten. But when it comes to the travel sector, I still do believe that people would actually want to come back and explore the world again. Businesses in this industry are actually trying to adjust their strategies and policies to get back on track. Incentive travel will be a powerful tool, a very powerful tool to motivate the workforce. So to get a snapshot of where we are at this point, can you realistically identify what has changed, what is about to be changed, and what is not going to be changed? So this very first question, I'd like to ask the lady in red on the screen, Jennifer. What are your views? Give us the global picture of things, please.
Thank you. I mean, I wish I would have a crystal ball and I could forecast when everything was going to get much better for all of us in the industry. Really, this is unprecedented, and I hate to use that word because it's overused as well as pivot these days. But honestly, the impact of this industry has been unrealistic. Really, when you look at 2003, SARS had a decline of 0.4%. The last recession of 2009 had an impact of 4%. And this is estimated to impact our industry and in the tourism industry as a whole, 20 to 30%. So that's fairly significant. From a North American buyer perspective, I can say that realistically, we're waiting on the government to open the borders and make the decisions that impact our incentive travel going forward. Currently, I still have programs that are looking for programs overseas, which is a positive sign. I think people do want to get back to a new normal. We're obviously going to start with local, then regional, and local, regional, then national, then international programs. So, you know, we're not all going to jump on a plane tomorrow, but I think what the industry, the airline industry, and the hotel industry is doing in communicating safety and hygiene practices will make people feel more secure. And that kind of goes along the whole premise of health security. And health security is definitely going to be a buzzword in our industry, as you know, the DMCs around the world here and all of us on the agency side have always had to deal, like everybody else, with crisis management planning. And now part of that plan is going to be health security, understanding what your attendees are going through, their comfort level, understanding what local resources are available to them. So the more that we can build that reassurance to the individual travelers and qualifiers for incentive travel programs, more likely that we're going to have those programs return internationally sooner than later.
All right. Kun Sumet, what about the change in the incentive travel business here in Thailand?
There hasn't been very much. Actually, there's been none. Whatever programs that were confirmed to take place in the 2020, it has virtually all have been either canceled or postponed. I would hope that most of them would have been postponed, and postponement would be for incentive travel would be at least 1 or even 2 years, because of the cycle of incentive travel promotional campaign. And so suppliers need to be aware that you know, you can't really you should spread your risk. But okay, there's not enough time now for too late now for most people. But this is a good lesson for the future. You shouldn't put too many eggs in the same basket. And we are waiting to for the situation to evolve. If I may add a little bit, when things will start, it would start from the beginning of the food chain, which means airlines. And I am very happy to have read IATA's report about biosecurity measures that they have planned. If anyone would be interested, go into the website and have a look. It's very, very extensive and very very good, a good summary. It says that governments should get together and develop safe and sound and practical procedure that would be agreed by everybody, including the trade, and that'll put the comfort level to travelers to begin to travel again. So we wait to until that happens.
Alicia, China was first to be hit by the virus, leading to a total lockdown, as you all know, in Wuhan. But at the same time, it was the first to reopen its businesses, economic activities as well. I hear that Accor Group has opened its business. Disneyland in Shanghai has been welcoming back towards some visitors to its park. What changes have you seen? Can you share your thoughts with us, please?
We see, in fact, with all the epidemic happens, we see so many delays and cancellations. But we also see that after 2 months fighting in China, we stopped the virus in Wuhan, and also China is coming back. And just yesterday, when I sent out all this information about our, seminar, and I received the corporate end user, they call me back and they want to know what's happening in Thailand, because they already have confirmed the business for this year and want to come back, and they want to know, all the recent updated information of the recovery plan of Thailand and regulation, the new system, and if they can still come back this year or next year. So this is, what we see the changes, and people, also another change is in the industry, there were so many competitors, but now because of the situation and people unite together, stay safe and stay positive as a team, and competitors become friends, and we try to work closely, even more closely, with the industry association and the government. And also a lot of trainings, especially the trainings on the destinations. And this is, we get ready for the recovery. So this is what we see the,
Nitin, what about India? Give us some insights, please.
Well, the biggest change that we have seen is the economic scenario, because the budgets and the economic factor would definitely be an impact in terms of planning of incentives or meetings within India or outside India, because of the fact that we have had 2 months of lockdown, and of course the production lines and manufacturing or service industry, everything is on a standstill. So I think everybody will be waiting for the new standard operating procedures. That would be one of the change that definitely would happen. And also the fact that the economic situation from here has to only improve, because the governments are going to step in to do the stimulus, and that's one of the positives that I would feel that would definitely be helping us. But one thing that will never change, as all my co-panelists have mentioned, is the urge of traveling and the urge of having experiences, because of the fact that the human DNA is there to explore things. So I think that's one of the things that of face-to-face would never change. Of course, we will have the virtual element, but I don't think that we can change the face-to-face element.
Let me ask this question to Kun Nishapha of TCEP as well. How much has the coronavirus rewritten the future of incentive travel? What has changed and what will not change in your point of view?
I think with all those said by the other panelists, I believe that what would be key driver to change would be the sense of confidence and the sense of safety that can really, how can we relay that sense to our customer? At the end of the day, what remains unchanged is that people's authentic desire to travel and explore new and unique experiences. Because actually in business, people would continue to buy from people regardless of how advanced the technology are. However, the sense of safety, the sense of confidence, the sense of hygiene must be there. And the other thing is that the other key area that we must not change is the foundation of trust in business. And that means the level of our service attitude and the delivery of our service that would exceed expectations of all. So for Thailand, we talk a little bit about safety and hygiene issues. I just would like to update that Thailand is currently, TCEP is working together with TICA, with 3 more MICE associations to come up with what we call hygiene discipline for business events industry. And of course, meetings and incentives are included. And in there would be an intensive and also extensive coverage in terms of how we can plan the program safely, how we can operate the program that can really convey the sense of safety and hygiene to the audience, and how we can really do something in terms of tracing and tracking post events. All in all, that would create a new norm of the industry.
So despite the changes amidst the uncertainty, one thing clear from all the panelists so far is that incentive travel cannot be replaced by any other experience. It's just the beauty of the industry, I would say, and gradually people will want to travel again. Before I get into the next set of questions, just letting our participants know that you can send in your questions if you do have any, because after the discussions is over, we will be providing some time to answer your queries. So please send them in, Q&A. There's actually a box, a menu right there. We are looking forward to your questions. Now, let's say the world is ready to travel again. Who will come back to the market first, and which markets? I believe that this is something we all would like to know. And in terms of marketing, how different will the marketing of incentive travel be post-COVID? But before we let our speakers share their views, we do have a live poll as well. And we'd like our audience to participate, to share your views with us. Please have a look at the poll, click onto the menu. And the first question is, when will you travel again? When will you travel again? There are a few multiple choices. So after this question, we'll have a look at the results. Okay, now, getting back into the debate. Jen, who do you think will come back to the market first, and which market?
It's definitely going to be your regional and close allies there in the Asia region that are going to come back to Thailand first. But definitely, like I said earlier, we're still looking at outbound incentive travel from the North American market. Canadians have always had a passport, and we are very keen to jump on and explore the world. But going to the further part of your question about marketing to the industry right now, I think one of the benefits or the silver linings of all of this is that people are going to question why they're traveling or why they're meeting. So I think it's just going to make for more meaningful, authentic experiences. So while I think the whole safety and security, everybody needs to share what they're doing in order to build that confidence, I also think that Thailand has a special place to build. You have such a unique destination and such a unique sense of self that I think that's going to resonate with people around the world. And I think that both meetings and incentive side are going to look to destinations like yours to focus on the sustainability of the events industry and how you can make an impact. But so I think it's coming down to what you said earlier about building trust with the people and building an authentic memory for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Nitin, what about marketing of incentive travel under this new normal scenario?
Well, India as a market, if for example, the scenario that you gave me was, that if everything goes well, how it will happen. So if everything is okay, the government says it's okay to fly. We did a survey calling our corporate clients here in India, and the meeting planners, they are all ready to go. They just want to know the new standard operating procedures. 59% of people that we called, they mentioned that they will be planning an incentive trip by the end of the year, like October to December, if everything goes well, by September.
2020.
Absolutely. That's what
great.
when we spoke to the corporates, like I did a research 2 days back where we called about 120 people in India who are like really opinion makers in terms of who have business actually in hand, and we have current customers who have their groups which has postponed or still in the pipeline. So I think if 59% of corporates says that we will plan as we get the regulations in place, which is a great sign. So the first thing that they also mentioned was that domestic travel will be the first one for every region that will come up, and they will test down, how things are going, and they will get used to the new normal, the new standard operating procedures that will be in place. And as that Sumit rightly said, that all the governments need to work together to bring out like one common standard operating procedure which is acceptable everywhere. Of course, it'll be different at this point of time because of the situation. But I really feel that the next step would be regional travel, and Thailand is considered as, I would say, an extension of the domestic travel for India, because that's the first international destination that Indians travel to. And if you see the history, no matter what has happened in the past, there have been terrorist attacks, there have been SARS or any other pandemic in the past. I think India has been one of the fastest comeback market, I would say, not if not the fastest growing market, but I think it's been the fastest comeback market to support really the markets which have been troubled. So I feel very positive about it, and I feel that once the rules and regulations are set, and if both the governments allow travel to happen with the new procedure, India will definitely bounce back very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Alicia, I understand that China has restarted some MICE activities already. When it comes to incentive travel, which markets are actually showing a sign of recovery? Is there any at this point?
Yes, to talk about the type of business, we think we started first with the domestic travel, because China is back to normal now, and also leisure travel as well. But international for outgoing, I think first will be the business travel and incentive travel, because we all know incentive travel brings a business, and for the areas, the countries and cities, we think China and Asia, as well as Australia and New Zealand, will come back to first to the market. And some cities, who has a good protection and control of the epidemic and recover quickly, will come back first, such as Austria in Europe and Northern Europe. Some countries in Northern Europe, they are doing quite well. And for the talking about marketing, we really do a lot of online marketing, social media, online training, online roadshows, online fan trip, and destination promotion by e-magazine, and also online survey for customers' feedback, so that we can design a new year marketing plan for promotion, for destination promotion. And we also started the early bird recovery destination cooperation plan with the city or country who can recover quickly from the epidemic, especially with we have the direct flights, and the airline can start it first, and then we can support each other, the destination to destination, city to city, country to country gradually. I think first we started within Asia.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned earlier that healthcare industry has been showing some good signs of recovery. Is that so?
Yes, for healthcare and medical and pharmaceutical direct sale, especially for health equipment and herbal products, and also insurance, because insurance also developed a lot, and also automobile. Because people want to keep a distance, so a lot of people buying more cars, because in this way they can easily go to work. But of course, normally our industry people right now all work from home, and this also the change that we we have to change from traditional office management to the remote management, online, everything online.
คุณนิชาภา how must businesses adapt post-COVID to capitalize on the awaiting opportunities once markets rebound? And tell us a bit more about Thailand's recovery plan.
What would be different post-COVID? I think first of all, we actually released a statement called Insight to Foresight last week. And in the statement, we expressed that TCEP foresees that new experiences that may appeal to incentive buyers, probably one of the concepts of what we call privatization, which means that event organizer may consider investing in exclusive buyouts of the hotels and venues or restaurants as a group isolation, and that hopefully would enhance a sense of safety and hygiene to all the delegates. And I think the content would be king, definitely. We should invest in content creation. Customers would love to know why the destination is unique and why it is recommended. So we need to invest into that. Technology will be very critical, not only to do with the tracking system for the safety and hygiene purpose, but also to hype customers' engagement and also to provide more of the touchless experiences to answer the concerns, the current concerns of the international delegates. Sustainability will also be a distinct focus, so more CSR in the program is foreseeable. As for TCEP, we have come up with what we call a recovery program. There are 3 phases. We have response, which we already launched in February until March, and then from now we are going into the recovery, and then we have 3 years restoration plan in place just for business events industry. Now in recovery, one of the recovery campaign is to come up with hygiene discipline for all to practice across the board, and this would help unify the collaboration among suppliers, because everybody will have to answer to the hygiene measures. And with that unity, I believe that we can provide a good and strong message to the delegates. In terms of restoration and still in the recovery would be the collaboration between private and public sector. TCEP is now working closely with TICA and SITE to come up with some campaign just to answer and sort of tailor-made to each source market, because each individual source market would have their own preferences and also some unique requirement. And we are trying to be as adaptive as we can, even though we are operating under a very rigid governmental rules, but that's fine, because whole intention is just to make sure that we can support wherever, whenever, and whatever incentives or supports to all the stakeholders, so that they can really bring in the groups as easy as they can.
Sumedh, how has the incentive travel within the private sector adjusted in order to cope with the challenges, and how are they preparing to themselves to actually jumpstart once everything rebounds, the industry regains its footing?
First, let me show what I brought for Jen.
Aw,
Crystal ball?
thank you.
Yes.
Crystal ball, I love it.
I couldn't find anything in here either. So, well, the industry has been bracing ourselves for first the obstacles that we're facing at the time, and second to maintain communications with customers. Those who have postponed, they are very grateful that they postponed and they will come back when the normalcy returns. And we've been actually motivating ourselves. TICA ourselves is organizing a lot of webinars and courses sessions. We've done 2 with a couple of hundred participants each. And one, I think today has about 400 something people coming in. So we are sharing information, we're motivating, keep everybody motivating. And we know that the future is there. We just need to wait and smartly attain information, access information, and prepare. In terms of your question about how to market, I think the marketing strategy should always be on time. I mean, with the current situation right now, the effects and the threats of coronavirus is not conclusive yet. So we really can't come up with a complete final procedure. But we should continue to monitor the situation, the changes, the evolutions, and eventually come up with a plan or a confidence plan to show people when they want to travel at that time. And these things will change, still change. So we need to be right on time, and we will update it on each situation. And I think to market now, or maybe in the few months' time, we could leverage on Thailand's ability to contain the spread of the virus. Because I understand now Thailand is ranked 8th in the world in terms of effectiveness. And I think it's too low because we haven't even reached 3,000 infections yet. You know, and we've controlled the fatality very well. And
the government's done a good job.
I think we've been doing a very good job, and also the people have been obedient and they have discipline. So that is one of the key success issues.
Mm-hmm. Now, the next question is for our international speakers, for Jennifer, Alicia, and Nitin. How do you see Thailand CVB coping with the crisis, and what do you want to see from our incentive travel industry once this pandemic is over?
Oh, that's for me to take note.
Okay. All right, we'll have Jennifer.
So,
Away.
I'm ready.
Kunishapa is ready to take notes. So Jennifer, fire away. What do you want to see? Jennifer, can you hear us? She's thinking very hard now. I think she's having probably some connection issues. So we'll go over to Nitin. Oh, are you back? Jennifer, can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
So
go ahead. Go ahead, please.
I said I'd like a really big party. But honestly, I think you guys are in a unique position, like many of the panelists said, about encouraging people. Right now with the incentive industry, I mean, first of all, we're going to have luxury travel. It's going to come back first. And we've touched upon your ability to contain, because of the size of some of the hotels, contain groups with charters, charter boats, charter airlines, and with the smaller hotel product as buyouts. So that's a good opportunity in the region as well. But it's going to be about promoting the authenticity, like I said before, of Thailand to the North American buyer. I think that's going to resonate. It definitely resonates with the millennial market who are looking for unique experiences. Just like the meetings industry, we're going to move to a hybrid model for a while, which is basically offering the qualifiers the option of either an incentive travel reward to them individually, or another alternative, maybe it's cash. But that's just a short-term plan, because not everybody in the qualifying group will want to travel. And again, a lot of that travel is dependent on when our governments open up the borders and the air travel is back. But long-term, one of the biggest benefits of incentive travel is the memories that you build together as a qualifier unit, and the opportunities that you get with senior leadership on those trips. And the positive news that we're seeing, we did a health security webinar with SITE with Terry Brock from Abbott and Dr. Jonathan Sparrow a couple of weeks ago now. And some of the clients are actually, to Nitin's point, looking at ways to expand their incentive travel portfolio. So instead of just taking incentive travel from the sales sector for automotive or pharma or insurance, they're the growth, and we saw this in our incentive travel index last year, is on the soft power of incentive travel. So one of Terry from Abbott's points was there's a lot of people right now that are going above and beyond in their industries during this time. So how do we reward them? So she's actually looking at increasing the number of incentive travel programs outside of the sales arena. So that's very positive news for all of us.
Nitin?
Well, I have to speak from the customer perspective because I'm part of the TCEP team on the India side. So I will definitely talk from the perspective of the customer, what we have spoken about, and the most important aspect is communication. That's what they expect. They want to have clear and accurate communication and timely communication, which has happened so far, and I'm sure it's going to continue because we are part of that communication as well, and it is very well received in India, and we have to develop the confidence building promotional campaigns or communication which actually helps the customer to take a decision in the favor of Thailand, and which has also been reflected upon the communication we have done so far, because we have received a lot of positive comments of being proactive and taking the lead in even Southeast Asia, which is a great feedback to have, and I think that's what we need to continue and then slowly build up in consultation with the client as they get ready, more support in terms of it can be financial, non-financial, anything, but I think we need to come up with the promotional campaign which can really help them to bridge the gap between the budget and the need that they have. So I think these are a couple of points that I feel that the Indian market will be looking.
Alicia?
Yes.
Same question to you as well.
Yes, I think keep our clients updated information about your destination, especially this kind of webinar or direct video program should be held to the destination you want to the incentive resources cities or countries you want to target, and give more programs like story telling and case study of the successful events you had before, and invite all the organizers who have successful events in your country, in city, and share their experience. And also by this chance you also increase your new suppliers and new DMCs and new venues for better services and better prices, because China is coming back. Recently we have especially direct sales. The size of the group is still large. Up to now for asking 300, and the larger one is 1,200. They still want to travel all together, not separately in a different wave. So I suggest it's better for hygiene and prevention and control of epidemic. You need to first choose hotels, like Jane says, maybe some of the chartered hotels, the right number, right room for those groups, only for you. So it's good, easy for hygiene and prevention control of the epidemic. Because I think it's a long, according to WHO, the COVID-19 will stay with us for a longer time. Mm-hmm. So I think we have to have backup plan and be ready for that. And it's going to be part of the most important design in our proposals with all those prevention and control of the epidemic. And also we made special staff or professional in the big group, especially to be charged on site or even starting with the proposal making to help us throughout, to give us a direction, because that's the most important. Another thing is I think we need to work with the insurance company, create a new event insurance to help our organizers and guarantee them no loss to the customers, because it may happen. You don't know, when the group is going on and something happened, and what you have to postpone all the prepaid payment, what you should do, how you can keep it for next, or to make sure that no loss to the customer, to the organizers. And the other is that for the products, prefer more events in the open air, and also for special food and better health programs. And also, I find that they are more aggressive now for very unique, only for you experience that none of other people have done before. So we have to create the new programs, new event, new experience for them. And the other one, I think, talking about China market to Thailand, we are similar, especially in Buddhism, in religion. And so theme tours can be with a good wish, with a good feng shui, with good crystal telling. So that's also very, people need a wish, need this strong will, because the incentive give them strong will. But with all your culture, all your Buddhism good wishes and good feng shui, whatever, to give them a strong will that we can get over all difficulties, we can make the business development, and those are the kind of things that I think put together. And you can also buy everything online to introduce to China market, to the early bird, we call that early bird recovery destination. And so whenever they're ready, they first say, oh, let's go Thailand. They have so many things ready for us. That's it.
Honey, I would like to add on what Alicia said, though. I think it's all about experiences and developing marketing campaign. You guys have always done this very well anyways, but focused on creating these experiential packages, because I think what people are going to look at is it not just about the destination and about that I'm going to an exotic destination perception wise from North America market. It's going to be about an authentic, personalized experience more so than ever. So how do you communicate that in your ad campaigns or your proposals to the industry so that they can sell it
Jennifer,
to their, yes.
Jennifer, we're losing you. I think the connection is not stable.
Mm.
Yeah.
Jennifer, can you try again? We lost you for a bit. Your internet connection is unstable.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, you're back. All right.
Yeah, I was just saying that I just think that it's creating these experiences that Alicia was talking about and marking that to the agencies and allowing them to communicate that back to their corporate planners who are looking for, because the qualifiers are looking for a more authentic experience, more personalized than ever before. So, it's not about going to Paris or Bangkok or wherever you're going. It's about what are you developing in that program that's going to get a true sense of self, a true sense of the destination. So even more so than ever, we've already moved in our industry years ago from champagne and caviar to more personalized experiences. This is going to amplify that even more.
Mm-hmm. All right, before we go on, let me actually get back to the poll. Remember poll number 1 that was announced a little earlier. When will you travel again? We have the votes out already. So let me see from our staff at Side Thailand. I was told that we do have the results. Can we have the poll results, please? It looks like most of our audience chose number 2. At 52%, which is after the government allowed traveling for a while just to make sure it's safe to make a trip. So that's some positive news. Before we move on, let me get into the second poll. The second question is, all right, let's have it on the screen. Let's assume we are ready to travel again. What will make you choose any destination for your client's incentive trip? Let's assume we're ready to travel again. What will make you choose any destination for your client's incentive trip? So we'd like our participants to vote, and then we'll come back to this. Now, we've been talking about what are site leaders do want from the incentive travel, leaders here in Thailand in the private sector. So let me throw over back to Kun Nishapa, who has been taking notes, I believe, and then to Kun Sumet right after. If people want to travel, but with what's happening, there are concerns, there are worries, there are anxieties. So how should we cope with the clients and customers' anxiety and reassure incentive travelers? You've mentioned quite a few already, but please elaborate more. Thank you.
Right. I think many as all panelists, basically, they already touched on this key point, which is communications. So I would like to highlight on the communications. The communications must be there. It has to be direct. It has to be in time, on time, and it has to be factual. I think this is one of the key, and it is very important for the suppliers to stay very close to the clients to understand their anxiety, their fears, so that we are ready to offer a tailor-made solutions. So basically, in order to cope with whatever anxieties that the clients have, because those anxieties are real, and we have to respect the anxieties. And in order to do that, we have to understand what the root cause of the anxiety, and let's see how we can really manage or how we can cope with that, or provide any solution that tackle to all those issues.
Mm-hmm. And Kun Sumet, please share your views as well, especially when it comes to dealing with the client's anxiety to restore confidence and the kind of products or programs that should be designed to put those minds at ease once they come here to the Kingdom of Smiles.
Mm-hmm. Well, it all depends on the other side of the food chain, basically. The level of comfort that people need would depend on the situation when they're considering to travel. I mean, but so to speak, the more we are suppressed, the more there is a need to go out and explore and travel again. So, but then everything has to be with caution. As long as we monitor the trends or the concerns, it will be lesser and lesser. Now, I mean, like Bangkok Airways is starting the flight to Samui again today. So there would be gradual ease of travel possibilities. But then right now, the operators would make sure that all the standards are met, like physical distancing, checking in during flight, post-flight, things like that. So it has to put people's minds at ease of the threat or the risk. So really cannot say, I mean, I do have a crystal ball, but it didn't really give me an answer when, normalcy will return. You just have to follow the developments really. But now I can see that things are easing down now, at least in our area. So we'll just have to take it as it comes, really. I mean, there's no set solution to answer.
Yeah, and may I add to Kun Sumet, I think based from the recent research from the International Festival and Event Association has conducted with more than 2,000 respondents, surprisingly, 89% of the respondents said that they missed the live events. And when they are asked whether they are ready to travel again, 80% said yes. So that echoes a lot to what Kun Sumet said, that the more that we suppress, the more the needs to travel to go out. Yeah. And right now, really, I think everybody is now adjusting, and that shows how adaptive people are in whatever circumstances. So I think what we are waiting for, one thing that can really boost the comfort and confidence would be the vaccine. And people would say that it probably would be around the end, if not next year, early next year, then probably second half of next year, or even sooner. So basically, what measures that we are working at this very moment, to me, it could be an interim, but it can set a good foundation and a new norm in the sense of giving the sense of safety, the hygiene, the comfort and confidence. So there are areas that basically really interim, but there are also areas that we need to follow through to set a new discipline for the industry.
Mm-hmm. Next question, let me ask Nitin. You actually mentioned a bit of communication already. But in terms of designing the programs to put your customers' mind at ease, how can we carefully design the experience to win business post-COVID and grow together again?
Well, this question, I would say, a lot will depend on what are the new standard operating procedures, as I mentioned earlier. And if the standard procedures are designed in a global manner, like for example, recently I attended a webinar from Marriott in India, and they have, identified 167 touch points where they have given touchless, service and a touchless check-in, and they will have QR codes in rooms where they can scan and, do stuff rather than just touching it. So I think, that will, a lot of those new procedures will define the new experience that the customer will have. So I think we need to communicate these, again, communication becomes the key to actually tell people that this is what is going to happen and this is how it's going to be replicated, not only in India, but also in the rest of the world, because the global brands are coming up with new SOPs. So I think the new SOP design and communication of those SOPs, going to the customer and sitting with them and working with them in terms of giving them confidence, and of course the government, reassurance that things are better and good with factual information, as Phil mentioned, would definitely be one of the key things when designing those experience would be concerned. So that would be the base.
Jennifer, North America is a major source market for the incentive world. American companies are big spenders and dictate the standards of incentive service. Have they actually showed any preference or set any criteria for incentive travel?
Sorry, I just missed the end of your question, honey. Can you just repeat the end?
What I wanted to know is that your clients, have they shown any preference, any criteria when it comes to incentive travel when the pandemic is over?
Yeah, my clients continue to be optimistic about incentive travel and are continuing to plan their 21, 22, and 23 programs. 2020, like Nitin and others said, have been postponed from 2020 to 2021, or they're combining, so they're having larger programs in future years, or giving the qualifiers extra benefits because they've couldn't have their 2020 programs. But to echo or build upon what Nitin said as well, when you're communicating to people that are looking at traveling internationally for incentive programs, communication is huge. And that goes from both an agency perspective about my communication of what our team will do on the ground in partnership with the DMCs and the hotels. And one of those things that the suppliers can do now in the marketplace is to be prepared for those questions. So, we've already talked about the hygiene measures, but you also need to take into consideration crisis management plans. So if somebody comes to you at that's been on a program, both meeting and incentive, and says, I have a fever, what's the protocol for that? So as a DMC, you've already established where the local healthcare providers are close to the hotel. You've communicated what the plan is. From an agency perspective, it's knowing it's me telling my qualifiers, ahead of time, these are the protocols. Should we run into any health and safety issues, just like I would if there was any threat of terrorism or tsunamis or anything else that we've always been prepared for in this industry. We come prepared. So I think it's making people feel comfortable that you've got all your eggs in the basket and you've got it all lined up, and you're gonna take very good care of them. So it's again, everybody said it. It's all about communication and being prepared. So I think as an industry, if we come out with the parameters and like Nishaba said about the standards, and we're communicating to them first, then they're going to feel better and they're going to return back to international travel sooner.
Before we take a look at the poll results, let me ask Alicia this one question. It's about the budget. What about the budget post-COVID? Will it be scaled down, once everything has rebound?
For budget, I think some maybe goes down a little bit, because it depends on the economic development, because it looks like epidemic caused the economic problem. Some company, they do have some problem, and they want to focus and use their budget to develop more on their, business. So the incentive might, the budget for incentive might go a little bit down, but for direct sale, it will be the same, because that's the way they encourage their all their staffs to do the business. That's the way. So for direct sales, no. And also, but this is a trend. So this is tell us as a DMC or as a commission bureau, we need to find a new product to really give ROI, the return on investment, and what's that, it's the same kind of even more, innovative program, but with a low cost. So those are kind of the things we have to create, we have to think about, and also give more value to the incentive group program.
Okay, now let's take a look at the votes from the audience. As for poll number 2, let's assume we're ready to travel again. What will make you choose any destination for your client's incentive trip? So, well, it's hygiene standard and healthcare facilities of businesses at that destination, which got 76% of the votes. All right, moving on to the last poll. We have one more. Let's have a look. Site Thailand, question please. What industry do you think will start to travel first? IT, financial, multi-level marketing, or not sure? So please share your views with us, and we'll come back to this last and final poll results later. Moving on to the last question from me. Ladies and gentlemen, as a site member and incentive professional, can you tell us what lesson have you learned from this crisis? Kun Nitapha.
Right. I think we have all the past crises to thank too, because every time that we came out from any crisis, we came out stronger and we came out sharper, mostly. Yeah. But what I learned from this crisis is that people face-to-face is the key. Nobody can beat, or nothing can beat face-to-face meeting. People still want to meet, they crave gathering. And no matter what happens, humans' adaptability are always there. Communications are key. We need to be accepting, we need to be open to change, and we need to, for those who are not technology savvy, this is the right time for you to learn. So once COVID's over, then you can come out with something that is very interesting and provide an in-trend. Not only to in terms of hype the experiences, but also in terms of serving the new normal. And also, I think that the crisis taught us how we had been so unkind to nature in the past. I think COVID came out from the reason that we take nature for granted. So after this, I believe the sustainability and CSR could be one of the great solutions, and we have to treat nature, Mother Earth, more kinder in all senses. Yeah.
Nitin?
Well, this crisis has definitely, because this is like almost like my first crisis that I've been into, because on the past I've learned from all my mentors and senior people in the industry. So I've been talking a lot to my mentors and understanding how they have dealt with it, or sharing experiences of other people with other people. I think the most important aspect that I would say I've learned is the difference between needs and wants. So I think, being minimalistic at this point of time is something that I've learned, and which was always like something that I was doing. But I think everybody would definitely understand that, our needs and wants, a clear definition of that. And then, of course, we have to be more patient and more disciplined in the fact that, like we work from home, we still have to have a discipline. We need to be ready. We need to be like going to the office or going to the customer. So it's like a different discipline altogether. So I think that's one thing that the industry professionals will have to adapt, as Nichika rightly mentioned. Adaptation would be the key. People, it's not about the survival of the fittest. It's like the survival of the quickest. So it's about speed on how you can change quickly and how you can adapt to the new things that are happening. So you have to do a lot of unlearning and relearning, and that has to be quick. So I think that's one of the couple of key points that I've learned on this crisis.
Mr. Maid is already ready to go to the beach.
Yeah.
We enjoy your background. What have you learned from the crisis, sir?
Just nature back on its feet. I think I've learned to always exercise sound judgment on when we consume the media. I think media is very powerful and it can steer people in whichever way it intends to. So we need to be mindful and digest information and share it properly. I think that's very important with the media, because the past crisis didn't seem so damaging, because I think less media had a role to play, but now it's totally different. So, but I think in the end it came to a point that the media start to be truthful and share information, because this threat is very real, and they need to be truthful. So that's one big lesson for me. Another one would be that I found that the business event community is very cohesive. We are very together. We've been doing a lot together. I mean, this week there was like at least 4 or 5 webinars that I've attended or spoken in. So everybody is trying to keep it going and project positivity. So this is a good thing out of COVID-19.
Alicia?
Yes, what we learn and we believe more is that our agency, DMC, are the main pillar of the travel industry, and where the marketing...
Alicia, your connection is a bit unstable.
Can you hear me? Now it's
Okay.
better? Yeah.
Now it's better.
We're the marketing and the sales leader of the industry. And, we have to be strong. We need to be strong. And we always need to remind us, we make the impossible possible. This is especially very important this time. We learn that this is our will and we need to do so. And also, we also learned that most of our travel agencies and DMCs are small and medium-sized business. We need to learn anti-risk capabilities and risk management to run our company well. And another one is I believe that the online events can also help us with destination promotion, especially all those webinars, direct video program, and that how we need to learn the skills and learn to do it better and more efficient. And also, for me, ever since year 2000, I experienced two major crises in the world, which really affect our industry. The first two that all the countries, each other, and we, help the whole world out of the crisis. But this time is more difficult because the epidemic is even more dangerous, not only for the global economic and financial security, but also for human security. So we need, at this time, we learn, we need to more trust, with all the partners, especially in our industry, and more unity. And that means we are on the same boat. We need to unite together and really team. And we also learn, and today, never as before, that the local government, the CVB, the Global Industry Association, and the local association play a very strong key role. And we have to stand up first in front of the industry as a team and we are one family. We need to help each other. And also the other one is that we know that the COVID-19 will stay with us for a longer time. We have to be ready and also always have a backup plan for our program.
Absolutely true. If we're united, we can make the impossible possible. Jennifer, what are your views?
I would say that right now, our industry has been elevated overall as an events industry, both to our government stakeholders, and they've seen now what the economic impact of our global industry is, and also within the corporations that we're working with. I think now they see the value proposition that both incentive travel and meetings have on their businesses. So I think that's allowed us to have a strategic seat at the table, both with lobbying with our governments, as well as within our corporation. And then I would say from a total personal point of view, I think everybody's searching for community. You guys all touched upon that as well. The site community has just been amazing. The level of engagement we have from our volunteer leaders right now. People are being furloughed all over the world, and yet they're calling me and saying, how do I get involved? We're gaining new members every day, and we're sharing support and positivity amongst each other. And honestly, that's given me, when I'm working daily to cancel and postpone and feel like I'm not accomplishing anything, the work that we're doing at site gives me focus. And I think it's just remaining positive. This too shall pass. And Nitin is much younger than me, but I've been through a number of these crises. And right now we just all have to count our blessings for what we have and enjoy Mother Nature that she's provided for us right here in my little town of Port Hope, which is a little town an hour outside of Toronto. We have black bears coming down that have never been seen here before, right? And that's because the trout are running and there's nobody fishing. And so, yeah, just take the time to do something that brings you joy and be part of a community that cares about you.
Well, the timeline of the recovery is unclear, as we all know, but we are certain that this too shall pass, and we will definitely reconnect. And I believe that people will want to travel again. So thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. Before we go to Q&A, there are a lot of questions from our audience, but let's have a quick look at the poll results. As for question number 3 that I asked you guys earlier, what industry do you think will start to travel first? And it looks like it's MLM, multi-level marketing, 39%. Okie dokie. All right, now moving on to Q&A. As I mentioned, there have been a lot of questions coming in from the audience. We have, I think, about half an hour, probably around that time. So let me select a few questions from this menu. Okay, here's the first one. What might be the top 3 new norm in incentive travel? This question is for every one of you. What might be the top 3 new norm in incentive travel? Maybe Nitin this time, you want to go first?
Yeah, I think the first and foremost would definitely be hygiene and sanitization. I think that is one of the key aspects that, as the poll also suggested. And then of course personalization, it can go to another level, with the technology coming into picture and people getting more onto apps and more digital technology. I think these 2 definitely would be the key ingredients of the new incentive travel world.
Kun Sumay ka? The 3 new norms in incentive travel.
I take the cue from the other side of the food chain. That's Nitin. Yes, but hygiene and health safety would be the top, at least in the beginning. I always believe that human nature, we forget things soon. We forget things too easily. After the threat is gone for a while, maybe there's a vaccine. Everything will be back on a normal basis. But in the meantime, we need to protect everybody concerned. So, and individualization, like Kundichapa said, also would probably become more used, more popular. Just to ensure safety and ensure experience. And I always need to develop a procedure for immersive experiences for incentive groups. we'll have to work on logistics, separate people into smaller groups and brief local participants very well. And life goes on. So,
Jennifer?
I would say definitely the health, security, hygiene, but after 9/11, we saw security measures at airports and within airlines increase, and you're going to see incentive travel programs traveling with nurses or doctors and asking you more difficult questions about the health security of your area. I think the incentive travel programs that focus on soft power, like employee engagement, will increase versus just financial ROI programs. And then I think you'll see actually a growth of family programs. Families are spending a lot of time together, but I think they're quite enjoying the experiences. And I think when they do travel, they'll want to have their families travel as well. So I think you'll see an increase in family travel.
Alicia?
Yes, of course, hygiene and also security is the first. And so we need to, in fact, recently we're going to run a program especially for hygiene from the 6 elements supporting all the travel and incentive travels, including transportation, including hotel, and also the restaurants, shopping area and entertainment area. We talk about hygiene, how you can guarantee the best way to make us follow the regulation, but we still the group feel comfortable, not in a very nice way. So another one, I think we still in some area we still open with control of the people flow. So maybe only 50% of the flow or 30% of the flow that used to be. So in that way, that when we run a group, we have to make it a smaller group, and so that we have to control it. So this is going to be normal, and we have to design it in this way. And the other way is, I think, all the promotion for the destination I think will turn more online, and because the unfamiliar of the COVID-19, if it will come back, when it's the second wave, we don't know. So more and more destination promotion will be online. It's going to be normal.
To me, I think definitely hygiene and safety. Secondly, would be the collaboration among the suppliers to come up with new products and services, and that includes logistics as well. And when I said logistics, it would be starting from air travel down to starting from the touch point that they touched, the first touch point to Thailand, and then to their departure. And third would be the content, where technology would play a key part, and sustainability would be incorporated to make sure that the program would not be that intense, but rather would be a bit more flexible with promote sense of self, and also promote personal well-being.
Mm-hmm. Okay, our next question is for Nitin and Alicia. Do you foresee a big price war to attract tourists during the recovery period after COVID-19?
Alicia, you go first.
Okay, it's clear, but it's mainly the competition between the Commission Bureau, the nations. Even in China, when in May, our State Council started to gradually make the meeting industry come back, and all because of this new statement, all the provinces and the cities immediately issued how to help with the meeting incentive developed in their country to attract more meeting events come into their city. So at the same time, they also need to the financial support and kind support, and they compete with each other. And so this is what we see. But I think this is something that I think we need to more focus on the hygiene, the security, which is the most important. But of course, with some of the difficult time, and many of our clients still want to go on with their already planned incentive program, and they really need the community rural and the city with the support, any kind of support, financial or in kind. So the war is mainly between the city and the government. Of course, the negotiation is also going on.
Well, talking about the India market, I believe that price has always played a big role, and of course, price war has also resulted in the current scenario, resulted in a lot of companies closing down because they never used to work on a healthy margin. So I think that is something which definitely companies who are selling incentive travel or TMCs who are working with the Indian counterparts here have to be more mindful of developing a procedure where we have minimum profitability that has to be there on the file. Otherwise, the government has to put some regulation also on that, because I take a cue from Singapore. If you operate a company in Singapore, if you're less than 8-9% profit, and you declare less the profit, and then your license is bound to be cancelled. So I think government authorities have a larger role to play in terms of this price impact to keep the parity. But I think also the Indian companies and the TMCs in Thailand counterparts have to also be very mindful that they are not working under a certain percentage of profit to understand, and to give the quality to the customer, because the customer is now expecting quality. He will pay more price for health security, for all the standard operating new procedures. So you just don't have to undercut each other. You have to be more collaborative, pick up the phone and talk to each other. So and the best person win. Of course, there'll be competition, and everybody will be very aggressive to get business. But I think this crisis, as everybody mentioned, has brought a lot of people together, and I've seen a lot of competition talking to each other, preparing strategies, and I think that is one of the key aspects that we will see in the coming months as well.
Okay, proceeding to the next question. This one is for Jennifer. Do you foresee higher operational costs from the tour operators, hotels, and other parts of services due to the new normal practice? Will that affect the decision in arranging an incentive trip again?
Well, I've already communicated to my clients that if they're reducing the number of people that are on the incentive travel trip, they shouldn't be reducing their budget, because definitely costs are going up. Airlines need to recover from this. Hotels need to recover from this. And right now, with the demand going forward for 2021 and 2022, that you're going to see an increase in demand. I think a lot of people were hoping that in the North American model, it would turn from a supplier's market to a buyer's market, but I personally don't foresee that happening with just the demand, the pent-up demand, and just the costs of, for example, if you are going to do a buffet station now, which, instead of having an open buffet, you're going to have action stations with chefs serving the food, and more space within the banquet area, or your more setup time for even if you're adding a virtual component to your conference or an event, you need more technical, more AV. So overall, I think costs are going to go up. And from a Canadian perspective, our dollar is taking a nosedive. So I think overall operating costs are going to go up. So they are going to be looking for destinations that can offer value for dollars. Right now, it's something like 44 cents on the dollar to go to the US. So we're going to be outbound even further for that value proposition.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the next question is for everybody to answer. As the world recovers from COVID-19, do you anticipate wellness and mindfulness elements to become more popular and must-have items in incentive itineraries? Let me start with Khun Sumet.
I think that was answered in the previous question. Yes, it would be, at least in the beginning. As I say, we don't know what this will come to, and how people will feel after the vaccine is in place. I think people appreciate the freedom of discovering. So we'll just have to take it step by step. Yes, but health mindfulness would be featured prominently in the beginning.
I think Kun Nishapha actually touched on that in the previous question as well. Would you like to say a bit more on this?
Well, I think everybody is now getting more mindful in terms of well-being, whether it is a personal well-being, a family well-being. So I think that we need to make sure that we incorporate that into the program. And even though maybe it could be, we could be in the program, we can offer certain lax time for them to enjoy by themselves, to be with their inner self and to promote the spiritual well-being. I think that could be pretty appealing. Yes.
Alicia?
Yes, but I think see another and COVID-19 make us more feel more important. You know, the family is more important. So there is a trend that because for Chinese incentive, a lot of them not families, not always with families, couples, but and now there is a kind of a trend, and they think you know the families traveling together give them this kind of unity and care each other, and also good for all they know each other, and which is also good for their business. So it's a trend. I think this is something happening. Yeah.
Jennifer?
I would say the impact on mental health overall for many people globally has been significant. So I think more people are reflecting on what it takes to remain positive and healthy. And I think that's not going to go away. I think people are going to practice wellness in their routine more than ever.
Nitin?
I totally agree with all of my fellow panelists that, mindfulness and working on mental health and physical health will definitely be one of the key things. And I have seen a lot of people will be adopting the Thai and the Indian tradition of holding hands than shaking hands. I think that is something which is definitely going to be adopted and is being adopted. We saw world leaders, actually using these things, and I think these are going to be also incorporated in the daily lifestyle that we will be living from now.
Okay. We have another question for Jennifer here. It's about budgets again. All industries of corporate segment have been affected from coronavirus, and they are facing with financial problems. Incentive travel is one of the unnecessary points to be cut off this year or next year, surely. What is your point of view regarding this matter?
I think we're talking about perception versus, again, I think that's why it's all on how incentive travel is handled internally, and that the growth of soft power incentive travel programs will grow. So I think it's how you've communicated the value of that incentive travel.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We have time for one more question. This will be our last for Kun Nishapha. With respect to the new guidelines being developed with TICA and TCEP, will you be looking to certify venues, hotels, suppliers?
Well, there are two standards that we have been working on. First of all, the venue standard, we have been working on that since maybe last 7 years. And we actually came up with what we call MICE venue standard. We categorize into 3 sectors. First would be the meeting room. Second would be exhibition hall and convention center. And then the other one would be event venues. And that has been done and proven. Right now we have more than 900 rooms throughout the whole country. The whole exhibition center, convention centers throughout the whole country has been certified, and that gives, I hope, and I believe that it gives a good peace of mind to all our international clients that when it comes to these venues, they would be served with international standards, and in there are certain sets of safety and hygiene issues. The second one would be specifically to cope with COVID thing, and we call it hygiene discipline. Basically, this discipline measures is used to present to the government that running MICE or business events in Thailand is safe, and therefore they should lift the lockdown. on this particular area. And I think that we had been given a very positive note from the government, and hopefully we can reopen the whole thing in June. Because right now, the measure has been sent to the Ministry of Health. They said it is good to go. They want to present it in the cabinet, and if everything goes right, then starting from June, all the business events can open. But once again, under strict hygiene discipline measures, we need to make sure that all business events that are running starting from June will be COVID-free. That's the whole intention. Yeah. And again, the other standards would be that we have been in constant touch and in discussion, in collaboration with all the key MICE associations, TICA, SITE, Exhibition Association, and also Event Association, just to make sure, especially in this particular issue, incentive travel, we have been working with Kun Sumed and also Kun Max to come up with new products and services, and that is to respond to Alicia and also to Jennifer and also to Nitin, because China, India, and of course North America, first Asia would come back to Thailand, and we need to make sure that we have all the foundations ready, including new service and new products. New subvention program has been formed. We will continue to monitor the situation so that we can adapt the subvention program that can really tailor-made to whatever needs from our clients. And I have full list of what Jen, Alicia, and Nitin, in his capacity of the customer, talk about. I have long list of that. These would be tailored and definitely will be in good discussion with all the relevant parties, just to make sure that Thailand will continue to be your best destination to come back to.
It's going to be a long weekend for you, Kunishapa. But what had me excited is that, you know, the events business is going to come back to life in June. So that's something very positive to hear.
Yeah,
well, we're running out of time, and there are plenty more questions. We will definitely not be able to answer all right now, but what I can promise you is that those remaining questions will be sent over to our speakers, and then we'll have them write the answers and then post it onto the Site Thailand Facebook page very soon. So stay tuned for that. So from today's talk, we understand that there will be changes, there will be challenges, but there will still be opportunities as well. And we will definitely be riding this brave new world together. And when everything is ready back to its normalcy, you're ready to come to Thailand, Kun Nichapa and Kun Sumed will definitely be here with Site Thailand to welcome you with open arms. That is one thing for sure. And before we say goodbye, I'd like to mention that we have another webinar from Site Thailand that is coming up on Friday, May 29th, on the topic, we are all in this together, the empathy communication skills to get closer to your clients. So to find out more information, please have a look at Site Thailand's Facebook fan page. And before we go, just let me request our audience to help evaluate today's webinar as well. You can scan the QR code and the evaluation form will pop up, and the code will come up in just a moment on the screen. On behalf of Site Thailand, I'd like to take this opportunity to once again thank our speakers for joining us. Kun Nichapa, Kun Sumed, Alicia, Nitin, and Jen, who's joining us from Canada. I believe it's about midnight now. So good night to Jennifer, and to all of you, have a very wonderful day. Thanks to our viewers for joining us both on Facebook and through a Zoom webinar. Do stay safe, stay healthy, stay resilient, and hope to see you soon in person when the time is right. I'm Thalapansa Narula. Have a good one. Swadee ka.